What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here for AdoramaTV, coming to you from the event space with the new Leica M EV1. This is the newest addition to the Leica M series, which is legendary, right? It's been around forever, and M series is known for being rangefinder. When you think rangefinder, you think optical viewfinder, but not this time. This is the Leica M EV1 because it's an electronic viewfinder. You notice that there's no window here. This is still a full frame 60 megapixel camera, and we'll get into all that stuff, but the biggest thing that's happening here is that viewfinder. So if you're someone that's looking at something in the M series and you've always said, I appreciate the rangefinder feel, but I want to have all the benefits of an electronic viewfinder, this might be what you're looking for. So what are the benefits of an electronic viewfinder? I'm so glad you asked. Thanks so much. This is going to give you your real-time exposure, your real-time color. You're going to see what the shot is. What you see is what you get, right? I'm able to see through the viewfinder in black and white, in monochrome. I'm able to see things like, is my sky overexposed? What are my tones like? I'm able to see what the different metering modes are giving me as far as exposure goes. And that's kind of where you get the benefits of an electronic viewfinder, as well as focusing aids. So you get things like focus peaking, where you get a color that will actually outline the sharpest part of the frame, basically the parts of the frame that have the highest edge contrast. And you can also have the ability to magnify in where you're focusing. So you can actually see for yourself, is it sharp or not? So it's basically just punching in for you, which you can't do with just glass, but you're able to do that with an electronic viewfinder. And this is a pretty nice one too. You're looking at 5.6 megapixel resolution inside that EVF and some really nice optics in front of that OLED display, which is really key to what makes an EVF like quality and easy to use and makes you feel like you're just looking through at the image rather than looking at a screen. So that was a very nice experience. And I really didn't go crazy with this. I literally just walked home from Adorama over to Brooklyn and shot what I wanted to find out of this city that I lived in my whole life, and I didn't have much time, but you can see from the shots, you walk around, you're kind of just grabbing things on the fly, and you're having that really easy to carry around, really easy interface, very minimal design. I'm talking, you've got a handful of buttons that Leica is known for, just like all the other M series, the touch screen to go through the menu if you need it, to pinch and zoom, however you want to do that. But let's talk about what's going on with this as far as what's the same as we know from the M series, like that full frame 60 megapixel sensor. What's cool about that was one of my favorite parts is they call it triple resolution, where when you tell the camera to go into medium or small sized images, it goes down to 36 megapixel or 18 megapixel. On other cameras, when you do that, it's just kind of dumbing down the file. But here it's actually at the time of the shot, it's altering the way the sensor collects light by pixel binning. So for example, if I went down to 18 megapixels, that might be great for me going out on the street at night and shooting in lower light and getting cleaner high ISO. So there's a use case for it. It's almost like not having to carry around an extra camera with a different resolution for a different reason, right? And of course, it's an interchangeable lens with that M mount. They gave it to me with this 35 millimeter f2 Summicron, the spherical version with the spherical elements. And this has a very dreamlike look, in my opinion at least. And I'm talking about the out of focus areas when you go from the sharpest point, and it just totally goes into this really, what I call swishy type bokeh, if you want to call it. I know you guys are going to jump down my throat with all these terms, but it really does have that kind of feel. It's a small profile lens. It's really easy to walk around with, and it's kind of like a really good street lens in general, which is why I ended up going around shooting street with it. Before we get into some of the shots, let's go over a few other things. So with the mechanical shutter, you are looking at 60 minutes all the way up to 4,000th of a second as your shutter speed range. 60 minutes is the slowest. But if you go to electronic, it's 60 seconds. So a minute all the way up to 16,000th of a second. So if you need that extra shutter speed, if you're shooting shallow like an f2 and you want to cut out some of that light with shutter speed, you have that headroom with the electronic shutter on this camera, which is nice to see. Another thing that was really nice to see was I saw some extra pins up there on that hot shoe. Turns out it does support TTL with Leica compatible systems, which is great to see. And it is a 1/80th of a second flash sync shutter speed. You've got the typical things going on with Leica here, including the bottom of the camera is the battery door basically. So inside that battery compartment is your one SD card slot, which is fine because it also has built-in memory for 64 gigs. So if you don't have a card on you, you still have internal memory to work with. And to get all that data out of your camera, you've got that USB-C port right next to that door. So again, very minimal design. And they went with the diamond style grip, which I'm a fan of. It's like the newer Leica grip in my, if you want to call it that, but it's very, very sleek and nice. I know Leica people are very about the aesthetic, so I gotta give it to them on that. Let's talk about some of these shots that I grabbed. I went into grayscale, right? Because it was an overcast day. I mean, heavy clouds, which means that all my colors are kind of murked out, but my light is even. And that means that I'm able to just shoot grayscale and focus more on, no pun intended, on my subjects, what I kind of want to grab. So things like, hey, this guy was smoking while I was trying to eat something. So I took a shot of him from behind, but you can tell that he's smoking, but you're not seeing him smoking. And that's, you know, ooh, my artsy street shot, right? And I know why you guys buy Leicas, for this exact reason. To shoot squirrels while you feed them. I know, you're welcome for these shots, but it is manual focus. So I just did this to put it all the way to the minimum focusing distance and then just see the focus peaking where I might think the squirrel will be. And then I took the frame when I could, and I had 4.5 frames per second to work with because it's 60 megapixel full frame, a lot of data, and that's the top shutter speed you're gonna get as frames per second go if you're looking at something like that. Had to get some goofy shots of pigeons. I mean, they always look like they're holding court together or like give me a weird look back. So got some shots of those, a manual focus. And walking around some more, I kept thinking like, I gotta show you guys some color, right? Because Leica has famous color. In fact, I would argue that when I shoot with Leicas, the word that comes to mind from the images is like it's a rich file. There's just like a lot in there. You got 15 stops of dynamic range, you got all that beautiful color. So I shot some graffiti here in the city on these walls that we have in the Lower East Side, so you can see what that kind of looked like. And I even ran into my girl BK Fox in the middle of her doing an amazing wall, so I shot some frames of her. She still can't show her face, so I did what I could, but you know, it's vibes, it's that feel, it's that look, it's that experience of using the Leica, it's that small footprint in your hand, but you've got the weight to feel the quality. The build quality is legendary, and you can feel it with every shot, with every frame that shutter's smacking around with. It's great. If you don't want that shutter to hit, you've got electronic shutter to stop that shutter shake from happening. So I did some long shutters with this as well, where I was shooting the train. So I'm hand holding this thing and I'm slowing down my shutter, and I'm able to get the train showing motion, but you're still seeing what I want stable, like the train stations, the graffiti and stuff like that. So all this stuff is just part of the experience of using the camera. Another advantage of that 60 megapixel resolution, you can use the digital zoom. So whatever lens you put on this, don't forget, you can always digitally crop in while you're shooting. The DNG will keep the entire frame, and the JPEG, if you're shooting DNG and JPEG, the JPEG will have the crop. So it's kind of simulating that field of view rather than having to swap lenses, which you might like on the, if you don't want to carry a lot with you but have different looks, you're able to do that. It's just one of those things that shows that Leica is taking full advantage of all that resolution. And you've got the Leica content credentials on board, which authenticates that you genuinely shot this, that's your image, and it's baked into the metadata. And don't forget, you can also connect this to your phone for the Leica Photos app. Another new addition with this camera is this custom toggle on the front. It's like a switch. Basically, it's a custom function button, but you can either short press it or you can press and hold it for different functions, which is great. So let's say you don't want those focus aids, you can turn them on and off with this. So what can I say? It's a Leica, right? I think that's almost like how we define Leica. It's a Leica, right? We don't even talk about it because they've been around forever for a reason. Their build quality is legendary. You feel it in this camera, and I think this is a welcome addition to the M series. I mean, there's a lot of people that look at rangefinder cameras but still want a little bit of a modern feel to them with real-time exposure, real-time color, having some focus aid, just having that ability. And I will say that when they handed this to me and I put it up to my face, because it's an M, you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna be shooting with a rangefinder. It took me a second to realize, right, it's an EVF. It really is that good of an EVF. I do think it's a really clean display. So you might want to try it out if you're interested in something like that. If you're someone that's been looking at rangefinders but maybe a little hesitant because it's optical and you just want that EVF feel, take a look at this. If you guys want any of the hard data, check out the links down below for the full specs, the full charts, all that kind of stuff. It'll be there for you. I wasn't here trying to make a masterpiece happen here. This isn't my opus with this camera. I had it for an hour or two to walk around the city. So I just wanted to get a feel for what it would be like to shoot with this EVF in this series of camera, and I got that, and I'll tell you right now, it's great. I think it was a great experience. So let me know down below what you think in those comments. I want to thank Leica for giving me a crack at this Leica M EV1 with the 35mm f2 spherical edition, Summicron. And we'll see you on the next one. Hit subscribe, guys. We do videos like this every day. Later.